Good afternoon, everybody. I had to do a special live earlier. Let me take my glasses off too, because y'all, that's when I get real serious, right? I got to do this special live because I just got some information that the BOI report is back. And for those of y'all who don't know much about it, we're going to dive deep into that. But we're also going to talk about some of the things some of the requirements that are needed, and some of the things that you need to do in order to file it, and also how to file it. We're going to deep dive into all those things. But if you're watching this on the replay, let me know. Type replay in the comment section so I can engage with you and answer any questions that you have. And if you have any questions and you're live with me right now, make sure you put them in the comment section as well so that we can uncover it. So the BOI report, right? For those that are unfamiliar with this is the Beneficial Ownership Information Report. So essentially, this is a report that the government came up with about a year ago, year and a half ago, right? And the whole point about this is they've said to themselves, look, all these people, all of you who have businesses, who have LLCs, who have corporations, we want to know who owns each of these entities. We're tired of not knowing this because whenever you create your LLC or your corporation, you create it with the state that you live in or that it operates out of, not with the government themselves. And the states and the governments may not be talking to each other. So the government's like, you know what? Instead of us going to the state directly to get all this information, why don't we go directly to the horse's mouth, to the entrepreneur, the business owner, and get this information that we need from them? And that's what they've done with this report. So this report, it's not a really lengthy report, but if you're unfamiliar with how these things operate, and if you've never been to the website, for some it could be a little challenging to understand. But essentially you are filling it out. They're going to ask you for things such as your driver's license or passport, the name of your LLC or corporation, the EIN, the name of your business, who owns the business, who's the beneficial owner, but then who also created the business for you. Did you have a lawyer that created it? Did you have an accountant that created it? Was it you that created it? Whoever it is, you would have to put that person's name on it, amongst other things. And you fill it out, you turn it in, and you submit it. And then you get a confirmation, and the government now has your information. So a lot of people that I've spoken to about this, they've said things to me like, this is very invasive. It's not private. I don't like that the government's asking for these things because they already have all this information. Why do they need more? Why do they need to know how many LLCs or corporations that I own? Why do they need to know who owns all of these things? And I agree with you to a certain degree, right? Like, do I want the government all up in my business? Not necessarily, but I also understand that they have the ability to go subpoena and get this information if they truly wanted. So I've been in IRS audits, right, where we've done audits for people who are audited by the IRS, and the IRS is literally asking us in person, how many bank accounts do you have? How many this, how many that do you have? And you could tell that the client that I was there with felt uncomfortable with relaying that information to the auditor. And then the auditor, they'll normally say, well, if you don't give it to me, I have your social security number. So I can literally type your social security number into the system, and all this information about you will pull up in front of me. Right. So at that very point, you're like, okay, let me abide by what they're saying. So yeah, it's a hairy situation, for a lot of people that may not have their stuff together. And for those of you who have multiple LLCs, right, there's certain clients of ours that have 5, 10, 15, 20 LLCs, 5, 10, 15 corporations or more, because they're doing major business. They're doing big business that requires all these different LLCs, and it requires them to, do different kinds of things, right? Like there might be situations where you might be acquiring different businesses, and instead of rolling that business into your major LLC, you have them separated out into different LLCs and corporations. So with that being said, a lot of times when you have that many entities, something like this can be pretty time consuming. It can be a lot because you have to get all your information out in front of you. You have to go one by one and file this. Oh, and don't be a situation where you have partners, because on this form, they require you to post all the partners that are a part of that entity into the form, and they want all the partners' social security numbers. They want their passport or driver's license, some identifying document. They want you to take a picture of that or scan it, upload it for all those partners. So it can get pretty tedious, right? But I said all that to say that if this is something that might be too much for you to do, or you really don't want to do it, there are other options. You can literally hire us and we can do the preparation for you. Or like I made a reel recently where I talked about how if this is something that you want to do yourself, I have created a video, a do-it-yourself video that I can send to you personally. Just make sure you comment BOI in the comments, and I'll make sure to send that video to you. But it walks you through step by step how to do the report. And I was able to do that because I did one of my companies live on that video, and I broke down everything that you needed, right? So don't feel like this is something that, because it's a month away from the due date, right? Because the due date now is March 21st. Today is literally February 21st, and they're saying this is due a month from now. So that might apply some pressure to some people because, a lot of us already have a lot of things going on our plate. And this is a new thing that's added to our plate. But instead of doing it yourself, you can either hire someone like ourselves to do it for you, or you can use the video that I was talking about earlier to help you through knocking this report out. So if y'all have any questions, let me know. Put it in the comment section, because I think this is obviously it's an important matter for everybody to handle. And here are the consequences too, right? If you don't handle it, I want to say the penalties are like $500 a day after the due date. So that's pretty significant, specifically if you are someone that I said earlier that owns or runs and manages multiple entities, right? If you have 3 entities, $500 a day is very significant, no matter what income level you're at, right? So you want to make sure that you file this thing. It's pretty straightforward, but it can, like I said, can get messy. It can get pretty tedious if you have a bunch of different partners. I know for me, there's one business that I'm a part of where we invested in some real estate, and there's 25 of us, right? So that's 25 different partners that you have to literally do the filing for. It's a lot of tediousness to it. So, for me, it would make sense for me to hire someone, which we ended up doing. We have someone, well, not necessarily, we have someone internally on our team that handles it for us, which can handle it for you as well. So this is something that I think everybody needs to definitely be paying close attention to, because if not, you can easily let this due date slip by, and literally it's 28 to 31 days away. So I want everybody to be cognizant of that and to make an action towards that, and to make sure that you get this filing taken care of in a timely manner. Let me see some of the questions that we have. Okay, someone asked a question about, if you don't have an LLC and you have created an EIN, do you need to file the BOI report? That's a great question, right? Because you don't necessarily have an LLC, but you have an EIN. But the answer to that would be no, because in theory, if you only have an EIN and no LLC, you are a sole proprietorship, right? This filing is specifically for people that own limited liability companies and corporations. So you wouldn't need to file a BOI report if you only have an EIN number, because you are a sole proprietor. So hopefully that answered your question. If y'all have any other questions, let me know as well. And also, if you've done it already, let me know in the comments that you've done it, and how the process was. Was it an easy, quick process for you? Was it tedious? Was it straightforward? Let me know that as well, because I think that's important for everybody that's tuning in to really understand. But yes, the BOI report is back. I know I posted it recently. I know a lot of people didn't really, I'm getting the messages right now. People are like, man, this thing is back. I thought this was behind us. Because if you remember, the original due date, the due date has been moved around, right? The original due date was December 31st. Then right when we got close to December 31st, they said, okay, the new due date is going to be January 13th. And then when we got close to that, they moved that, and they said, you know what, there's no due date period. We want everybody to just stay in limbo and kind of wait till we figure this whole thing out. And then you know, a lot of us forgot about it. And then literally a month later, they're like, hey, we're back. And not only are we back, but we have a new due date of March 21st. So now everyone that's really forgotten about it, you know, you're not even thinking about it. You're now back into that mode of, you know what, I need to get this thing done. Questions. Another question that's commonly asked. If I have an LLC and I don't use it, but I haven't terminated it, I haven't gone through the formalities of going to my state and terminating it, do I need to file the BOI? And my answer would be, you should. At the end of the day, I would say filing it is the best case scenario in any scenario. Because if you file it and you didn't need to, what's the worst that could happen, right? I guess the government has more information that they can already access, but you filed it. You don't have to worry about any kind of penalties. You don't have to worry about, was I supposed to file it? It's been taken care of and it's been knocked out. So I think that's important to have that mindset, that if you have the mindset of, do I need to file it? You most likely probably do, unless you're a sole proprietorship. This is good. I know that we've done it now for about 35 people, and you know, it's been good. A lot of our clients have signed up. If you're a client of ours and you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit us up. We can do it for you. Obviously, it's an additional fee, but we can definitely knock that out for you. But yeah, we've been able to knock it out for a lot of our clients. They haven't had to worry about it. They've been able to focus on their business and just go about their day, right? So I'm going to go now. Those of you who are not following, make sure you follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram at Ephraim CPA. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Until next time.